Welcome to the Throwdown. We are a podcast celebrating the art and sport of professional wrestling. We feature live stream chats with wrestlers, promoters, and others involved in the industry. I'm your host, Matt, and tonight is episode 211, and our guest is San Antonio, Texas-based wrestler, the star from the stars, ChaseNebular. Chase has been wrestling for a total of around 6 years, currently trains at Community Wrestling, and is a mainstay on the Texas scene. So, without further delay, let's throw down.
It's showtime, folks!
Throwdown Nation, what is going on? We are live on a Monday, rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 211 of the Throwdown, the community on the interwebs where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a wrestler based in the great city of San Antonio, Texas, who is making a big splash on the Texas scene. He is also one half of the tag team Chasing Greatness with future Throwdown guest Jaden Black. My friends, welcome with me, the star from the stars, ChaseNebular. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Greetings. Excited to be here.
Man, like I said before we went on the air, I've really been looking forward to this one. We've already got some people pulling up in the Instagram chat. Elia Lopez, Mr. MF Hateful, and Breeze Wrestling Adventure, a great super fan out in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, Breeze at almost every show. I always love seeing her.
Yeah, she's been in the audience for a lot of these, and always love having her around. It's always a treat. So for those of you watching live, let me direct your attention to the ticker running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all or at least most of Chase's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor, if you aren't following or subscribed, take the time and go to each of our platforms and do so. It definitely helps both of us. And any questions or comments that you guys have, just throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first and really the most obvious question, kind of the elephant in the room, and that is, how long have you been wrestling?
That's a complicated one because my memory's terrible. It's always been. I've always said, like, if it wasn't for people telling it to me every day, I wouldn't remember my own name. But as far as I can remember, I started around 2016 and stopped in 2020 because of the pandemic. And then I just never got back into it until finally 2024. I started training again and was able to step back in the ring, and I've done it since.
So kind of doing the math in my head then, not counting the little break that you had in there, it's been about 6 years total, sounds like.
Oh my God, it is 6 years. I've never done the math.
Yep, 6 years. So you're a 6-year veteran.
I guess so.
So who all has trained you? I think right now you're training with Caius at Community Wrestling. Is that correct?
Yes. Before we started doing Community, I had hit up Caius and we started using a ring somewhere near downtown, and he helped me train to get back into it. But originally, my first trainer is back in Laredo with 5-Star Wrestling, being Luis Spartan Ramirez. He's the one who helped me start my career.
Gotcha. In the earliest portions of your wrestling training, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of professional wrestling for you to kind of wrap your mind and body around?
Well, to be completely honest, like growing up, I've never been the most athletic person. Like growing up, I remember my parents signing me up for a boxing class, and I never got to throw one punch because I remember going home to her and being like, "Mom, they make me run. I don't want to do this." And then, I got older and I just wanted to do something, and I've always enjoyed wrestling, watching it for as long as I can remember. And that was the first hurdle where I was like, I'm not really athletic, but it was the first time in my life where I was like, I'm not enjoying this, but I want to do this. So I pushed through that. And then the hardest thing from there was just that no one really told me this hurts. It hurts a lot. Like no one told me that I'm gonna be putting my body through hell and more. And that took a minute, especially because I have such a low pain tolerance.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it sounds based on what you were saying that you really didn't come to wrestling with much of an athletic or other martial arts type of background.
No, 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 not at all. I mean, I did baseball for a bit in middle school, and then I got into high school, and I was like, I don't want to do this no more.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, I'm presuming based on what you were saying that you've been at least a fan of professional wrestling for pretty much the majority of your life. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I
What?
mean the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, no. Go ahead. You were going to expand on that. So go ahead.
Just the earliest memory I have is just remember going up to my dad and begging him to turn on the TV because Triple A was on, and my dad introduced me to Lucha Libre and our favorite wrestler being La Parca, and that later on evolved to watching WWE, watching SmackDown every Friday.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So what was the first live show you ever went to as a fan?
So I think it was 2009, and I don't really remember much. I remember it being loud, and I remember Rey Mysterio and Batista being the main event. And then I remember I had just gotten like some dental work done, and I just remember my dad bringing me all this food and then just being sad because I couldn't eat
Gotcha. Gotcha.
it.
Well, yeah, speaking of AAA, what is your opinion on WWE acquiring them? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think they would have been better off maintaining their own thing?
I I thought it was a great thing. Triple I, I've always been such a huge fan growing up. I haven't watched a lot of it recently, but when when they acquired it and it came on the news, because it came on like the day of WrestleMania, if I remember just being in
Hmm.
shock. 'Cause I was like seeing all these names pop up of people who are going to be performing with the WWE and Triple A, and I was like, oh my god, like I couldn't believe some of these guys are still going. And anything, it made me more excited because I was like, this thing that I watched growing up, and because for the longest time, it's all I could watch because we didn't have cable or anything. It made it amazing that like now more people get to see these guys perform, and it was very exciting.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've actually heard some speculation that WWE is actually working with Netflix on potentially a revival of Lucha Underground, using some of the AAA talent for a revival of that show. And I feel like if it's done properly and done well, it could be a great thing. So,
Oh yeah, I brought it up many times in the locker room where I said like I missed the Underground. It was so unique. It was its own thing. If they do that, I promise you, I'm watching every episode.
oh, for sure, for sure. So, Jaden Black and Elia are in the chat, and both of them are thanking you for the house. So,
Oh, I hate them. That is an inside joke that has been going on for years that I can't seem to get to stop. No matter what show I'm at, I always have wrestlers coming up to me at the end being like, "Hey, thank you for the house." I'm like, "God damn it!"
yep. So, obviously the physical side of this is all extremely important. So, tell us a little bit about your gym routine, and in your mind, what is the most crucial exercise or group of exercises for you to keep in ring shape?
For me, it's always been cardio. Right now, my main focus is when I get out of work, I go to the gym and I do at least minimum 30 to an hour of cardio because there's such a difference between like in ring shape and then just being in shape. and you learn that the hard way and quick. But as long as you're regularly in shape and outside of the ring, it helps transfer a bit, but it's still different in between. So that's why training has always been my main thing. Where I was like, I need to be in that ring, running the ropes, doing whatever I can. But gym wise, on my days off, I like to try and hit weights as much as I can. But my main thing is that cardio helps you so much. Like,
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, as mentioned, you are in a tag team with Jaden Black, Chasing Greatness. Tell us a bit about that. How did the team come to be, and what are the plans?
that was such a cool thing that happened was that I started wrestling for a company called EBW Elite Breakout Wrestling, and Jane and I had met like maybe 3 or 4 times, twice in the ring, and he was cool. I really liked him. He told me about his dreams and aspirations and what he wants to do, and yeah, and we hit it off. And then there was just one day where we went there, and the promoter just kind of told me like, look, we don't really have any ideas story wise, but we're gonna go ahead and try to put you with Jaden and do a tag team. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, that sounds fun. And we went and we faced off against Bobby Light and Jonathan Light STK.
Oh yeah.
And, we planned it out. We did this thing. And I don't think I've ever told them this, but, going in that ring and hearing them do their entrance and the reaction they got was insane. And I was like, oh, they're going to hate us. They're going to boo us out of this venue. Like, they're not, like, we can't match that. And we went out there. We had a match, and we had a really, really good match. Like, the chemistry was right there. I was very nervous because I hadn't done a tag match in forever, and all I could remember was that I was really bad at being outside the ropes because you're supposed to cheer your teammate, like try to hype them up. And because I get so nervous and focused, I kind of just stay quiet. But there was a point in the match where Jaden had said something. I think he said like, "We're going for greatness," and it just occurred to him like, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to hype up." And he really helped bring that side of me out by reminding me like, "Yeah, I need to be talking to him. We need to be in this match," and that hit off. And then that match went really well. It's one of my favorites. And I remember afterwards, like some fans telling us, being like, "Hey, you guys did great. At the end there, we were really, really rooting for y'all." And I was like, "Really?" Yeah. And from there, I kind of realized we have something here. There's something interesting, and so we've kept on going, and we're still going strong. And hopefully, as of right now, we just want to see what else we can do, like anything that we can think of, anything funny or anything in ring wise, and see how far we can really take it.
Gotcha. So, tell us a bit about the ChaseNebular concept, and how the whole Star from the Stars alien concept came about.
So it's such a dumb story. Started off in high school before I started even training, which was that it was just me and my two of my friends, that we were just playing this game and we can just make up the dumbest Star Wars character. And the one that stuck the most was ChaseNebular because we thought that was the dumbest name. And it became a joke between us. We are just like, I couldn't do my homework. ChaseNebular was around, flying around. And it was just a joke for the longest time. And then when I started training, I wanted to use just my regular nickname, which was just AB. And I had my other friends that were training with me. They're like, "You should use Chase." I'm like, "No, that's stupid." And then there was just one show at Laredo Wrestling Alliance. With the guy, his name is Lieutenant Dan the man. He's getting our names. Got my buddy, got my other friends, and then he comes to me and he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "It's AB." And he literally like looking down, stops and looks up and goes, "AB, AB." Nah, fuck that. That's not coming out of my mic. Not tonight. You need to think of something else. And I was panicking. I couldn't think of anything. And of course, the only name that popped up was ChaseNebular. So I told him that. I was like, "Hey, it's going to be ChaseNebular." And he was like, "ChaseNebular? You would have won if you said that name first." And then he just walked off.
That's awesome.
Just stuck. Mm-hmm. I later on I saw him again, like when I came back into wrestling, and I pulled him aside and I was like, "Hey, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be Chase." And I thanked him because I really enjoyed doing Chase. I would not have. I prefer this so much more.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. It's really kind of a unique thing. I mean, I really can't think of another attempt to do that kind of character.
Well, the idea has always been that like my trainer always said like you need to be yourself times 100 in the ring. You need to be
Right.
amplified very whatever you are. And you know, growing up, I've never like really fit in with the main crowd. Like people, I was never into the same music, never into the same type of movies. Like I was always the odd one out. And the more I thought of it, I was like, it's perfect. What's more odd one out than an alien among people?
Very true. Very true. So, away from wrestling, what are some of your other hobbies and interests? What do you like to do?
Our free time, mainly it's movies. I love watching movies. Like I watch as many as I can, when I can. I'm currently like I have two wheels that I spin to randomly select a movie, and one of them is because I'm also trying to watch every single Oscar-nominated movie that's ever been nominated. So I'm
Oh,
watching all the
wow.
way from 1929 to 2026, and it's taken a while, but it's getting there.
Very cool. Very cool. So, we're mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble into pop culture a bit. So, I'm always looking for recommendations. Have you watched or listened to anything really cool recently?
Yeah, it's funny you say listen to because my take to music has always been pre 2000. Like my favorite band is always the Beatles. I always go back to the Beatles albums.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
which 100% because they've no one's done it better. Uh, and I so rarely listen to like music of today. The most modern one I heard is this Irish rock band named Via Motrana, I think they're called, and they have an
Hmm.
album called I can't remember, but it's something of Sinners, and I've had that on repeat over and over. But movie wise, I've always said my favorite movie of all time came out a few years ago, which was Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's the one I recommend everybody.
Nice, nice. I will have to check that out.
You haven't
But
seen it?
no, I've not.
Oh, it's so good. I love showing it to friends because every time I did, it's so interesting to just sit in a room and turn to your side and seeing five grown men crying. I'm like, oh,
By the way, Dempsey956 just showed up in the Instagram chat, and he's thanking you for the house too. So,
every time, man, every time, every single
yep,
show.
yep. But yeah, man, I completely agree with you about the Beatles. I'm a bass player, and I've always felt like Paul McCartney is one of the most underrated bass players. I mean, he really did some innovative bass work, and I don't feel like he gets the credit he deserves.
No, I agree. Like, cause I talked to some friends in music, and they've always said that like that it's very common that the bass player kind of disappears in the mix. But listening to the
Yeah.
Beatles, I'm like that sticks out so much. Like, plus even just the look of it, like his violin Hofner is such a beautiful guitar. I was so
Oh, it
upset when I
is.
heard they weren't gonna make it anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as bass playing goes, another guy that in my mind really kind of revolutionized bass as far as taking it to actually a lead instrument is Geddy Lee from Rush.
Oh, 100 love Rush. I've always
Yeah.
said my favorite bass players were always Paul McCartney and John Deacon of Queen.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I will definitely can't argue with either of those. So
They just make
you
it
said.
so well.
So you said that you're originally from Laredo, Texas, but you're currently in San Antonio. What was your favorite thing about Laredo, and what is your favorite thing about San Antonio?
Laredo, the favorite thing was always just, to be honest, there's not much to do in Laredo. Like growing up, it was just, what are we gonna do today? Go to the mall. Like that was what you did. But what I miss about it the most is the food. It's always been my answer. Like every time, like we always get elotes or corn in a cup. We would find some places here in San Antonio, and just nothing matched anything close to Laredo or the raspas or the snacks. Like oh, that's what I. Whenever I go back, it's what I go look for first. But here in San Antonio, like to me, moving up to San Antonio was a culture shock. It was always, I mean, compared to Laredo, to me, it was like, wow, this must be what New York is like. It's not, but it's what I always imagined. And there was just so much to do. Like I can go out any other day. and if I wanted to find something new to do, some new place to visit. Not sure what happened there.
I'm not either. Uh, Jaden and Elia were saying the internet from space isn't good, and the space Wi-Fi is problematic. And then Jaden was saying, "There goes my dinner show."
Yeah, we know when you're up here and there's space junk flying around, like it interrupts the signal pretty bad.
Yeah, sunspots and solar flares and all that good stuff.
Exactly. Got to
So,
quickly move the ship.
oh yeah. So, like you were saying, the best wrestling personas are usually kind of yourself turned up to 1,000.
Yeah.
But tell us a bit about in-ring ChaseNebular and kind of compare and contrast him with everyday you.
So I think the same thing about me and Chase is that the moment we see a friend anywhere nearby, it's our instant job to be like, I'm gonna make him laugh, and no matter where it is. Oh, my bad. Hold on. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. And like the most instant one that happened last week was in a tag match, and we had Bobby Light as a special guest ref. And the moment I found that out, I was like, I'm gonna make him laugh. And the only thing that's similar that we have that Chase and I have is that we're always just trying to see what we can do, see where the limit is, see what's all right, what's entertaining, what's the funniest, what's gonna get the laugh.
Gotcha. Caius actually just showed up and he said you don't want to know everyday Chase.
I don't know what he means by that.
Yep. So, how has your in-ring persona evolved over time?
Uh, it's always changed. It's always like when I first started, I was people don't believe this because especially when I tell them that I wrestle, I'm super shy. I'm very very shy. So at first, I wasn't as outgoing and I was very quiet. My main thing was like let's just try to wrestle well. And as time went on, I've always felt like I'm pretty good in the ring. But then the moment I started finally amplifying the character, the idea of an alien who's here and learning about things on this planet, it it definitely like took me to different places and doing things that I didn't even know I could do, and it just brought such a different confidence, and it's really helped. I think what helps more is because a lot of people love to ask like, what's the backstory of like Chase Nebular, and I've always said like, oh, he's just he's an intergalactic wrestler. He goes from galaxy to galaxy finding opponents. And what I really enjoyed most of it was that every promotion I've gone to, they've always wanted to do their own version of the story. And I've always loved that. I think it makes it way more creative and more open to do basically anything I want and to do in the ring and outside. And promos always get to change up. And I've always loved it about that.
Gotcha. Well, I'm an older guy, and as a kid, there was a TV series called Mork and Mindy.
Oh
And
yeah.
the Mork character almost reminds me of what you were saying is kind of the basis of Chase Nebular. He's an alien trying to figure out life in life on Earth. So,
It's kind of where a lot of it came from because I remember I sent a promo to I can't remember what company, and the promoter got back to me and he was like, "It's really good. You just shouldn't say y'all. You're from space." I'm like, "Oh, you're right." And then he went on to send me clips of Morgan Mindy, and I watched them all, and I'm like, "This is exactly what it has to be."
oh yeah, I mean, Robin Williams was so brilliant. I mean,
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, and what a loss. I mean, but so tell us about your very first match. What was it like? How did it go? What were your thoughts? Tell us about the first one.
Ooh, well, so gets a little more complicated. So before joining Five Star, I was in a different company called, if I remember correctly, it was Renegades of Wrestling, and they were super nice people. The issue was that they could not always secure a place to train, so it was very on and off. And what ended up happening was that me and my buddy Joe Star, were really were just itching to get in the ring. And at that point, we are like, we've had enough matches, or we've had enough training. We can do it. We can do it. And I was like, we can. And we knew one of the promoters, and we told him like, we can do it. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys are cool, yeah. And we got in there, and let me tell you, we stunk up that ring. We were not ready. It was bad. Like, thank God we were wearing masks because it was terrible. And it made me realize, oh, I am not ready. I was like, yeah, maybe I can take a good bump and maybe I can roll around. But mentally, of like setting up a match and telling a story in the ring, nowhere near ready. Yeah, I should not have stepped in. They should not have let us in.
Gotcha. So we've heard about the first one. Now, if you can narrow it down, tell us about your favorite match that you've been a part of.
Favorite. That's a difficult one because I've always brought it up to the two matches, maybe a third. But I remember one of my favorite ones was against Jaden, actually my tag partner, before we started chasing greatness. Because everyone kept telling me at the time, like, compared to other people, you're a vet, but it never felt like that because of the gap I had in between. I always had the mentality like, I'm still new. Like I need to earn my respect. I need to earn what I do. And I always wasn't sure if I had my footing, like if I was ready to even start doing it again. And I remember in that match, I just really wanted to prove that like I at least had some idea of what I was doing. So I kept thinking about it. And finally, when the day came, I remember telling Jade, I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like here, we planned it out in the back, but like I want to do X, Y, and Z. And I think it would get this reaction. And luckily, he's quick on his feet, and he was able to. Like, all right, I want to do this. We put it together, and we went out there. And when we did that match, it got exactly the reaction I wanted. In fact, it was bigger than what I wanted, which is it was honestly the first pop I'd ever gotten, and it really caught me off guard. You could see it in the match where I pinned him 1, 2, 3, and the crowd pops like really loud. And I was like, whoa, that's new. And but it was the first time I was like, okay, I still got this. I can do this. Like it made me feel like I'm back in place.
Gotcha. What you were saying about not feeling like a vet and really wanting to go out there and earn it. That says so much about your individual work ethic, and that is admirable. So,
Thank you.
kudos to you for that.
Thank you. It was very ingrained in me that like you're not given anything. You have to earn it, and that means uh, whatever they say goes. Like you earn it before you can even make any type of call.
So, Caius just said, he says, okay, I guess the Caius versus Chase saga isn't to be mentioned.
No, I think of the one match he and I had, I didn't go with.
And Elia actually says that he thought Chase versus Elia was good.
That one was good. That was a fun match. I like that one. It's just compared to like my favorites, y'all are up there, just not all the way up.
Gotcha. Speaking of Elia, man, I've said this before, but when I had him on the show, I mean, he impressed me so much. I didn't realize he was 14 years old until he came on the show, and he mentioned it before we went on the air, and I'm like, you're what? I mean, he's an old soul. He is mature beyond his years. So, and I really think big things are ahead for him.
I think so too. We've had I think only the one match, but I remember getting in there with him and being like, all right, we planned it out, and afterwards I was just so impressed. I was like, everything to you came so naturally. Like there was no hesitation. You knew what to do, where to be. If we needed a break, he knew exactly how to do a rest hold and everything. like it came so naturally. So after our match, I told him like, you need to keep at this. Like you need to keep training because he's going somewhere.
Yep, absolutely. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm pretty sure you've picked up some of these, but what is your biggest wrestling related pet peeve?
You unlocked some memories. What I hate most is, I can't even say it's pet peeve. I hate it is I don't like these there's wrestlers out there that'll come over and be like, I'm a heel. I do heel stuff. I'll talk crap. I'll beat you this and this, and I'm like, okay, we'll do it. We'll have a good match. And then we get in the ring, doesn't do a single heel thing. He starts getting the crowd to cheer for him, starts doing the clapping, does the 10 punches in the corner, and that annoys me because wrestling has always been a teamwork thing. If you're telling me you're a heel, then I have to do things babyface, but I can't do that if you're trying to get the crowd on your side. And it's been one of my most frustrating things when I met people, and even more when it's like, I guess a lot of people just have the memory of the Attitude Era, and they kind of just want to do that, cool Stone Cold Steve Austin thing. And I get it because I did it 1.2, but at the same time, like, no, you got to find what fits you. We can't all be doing it.
Right, right. Again, taking a glance over at the Instagram chat, fan in a van just pulled in, and I've seen some of his content, so it's definitely good to have him joining us this evening. So, if you could only be one, would you rather be great in the ring or great on the mic?
Ooh, I want to say, oh, I'd have to say great in the ring. I mean, don't get me wrong, like great on the. I've seen people who are amazing on the mic who have taken them so far just on their mic skills alone. But I don't know. I've always respected more of people who can do these insane things in the ring. Like one thing I've always, with my weak point, and that I'm still up to this day working on is chain wrestling. And I remember when I started training again with Caius, is that Caius is a bigger guy, so I've always seen him wrestle as like a big guy, And I remember one day we started training, he was like, "Let's try this," and he did so much chain with me, things that I could never even fathom. And I was like, "That is amazing! I didn't know you can do that." So I've always respected the fact that he could. So I'd rather be just great in the ring, honestly.
Absolutely. So, what is your all-time favorite match as a fan? Is there a match that is near and dear to your heart that you find yourself kind of circling back to? Do you have such a match?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had like an all-time favorite. It always phases in and out depending on what I'm watching. Like I've always been in and out of like watching wrestling, but when I first got back into watching wrestling was during uh, Black and Gold NXT, and the match that I always go back to and I've watched like on repeat over and over is NXT Takeover. I think it was Takeover Dallas, American Alpha versus the Revival for the titles because American Alpha had such a great underdog story going on, and then to have that match, seeing both their high energy, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable with the moveset that match is just, I have that on repeat always. That's the one I always go back to watch.
Gotcha. So, piggybacking onto that question, do you have an all-time favorite promo as a fan?
Yeah, I've always loved the Macho Man Cream of the Crop promo
Oh
because
yeah.
I think it's always been the perfect blend of like, I don't know, Macho Man always had that like perfect blend of like sort of serious and unserious because the man was talking serious, hyping himself up, telling everyone that he's the best, but he's doing magic tricks in the middle of it. And I've always thought that's the perfect of serious and unserious, and that's the one I always go back and watch to be like, all right, what can I do next? What can I do next?
Gotcha. Yeah, like I mentioned, I've been watching wrestling since I was 11 years old. So, I've been watching since the early 80s. And really one of my favorite wrestlers in terms of their promo work is actually Jake Roberts. Because I liked the fact that he would rarely raise his voice. He would just very quietly, very calmly tell you what he was going to do to you. And in many ways, that's actually more effective and in many ways scarier than somebody yelling and screaming with the veins popping out in their head, foaming at the mouth. They say fear the quiet ones.
Yeah, especially like it especially stood out because exactly what you said in a time where everyone had the energy to just yell and say like I'm gonna kill you in that ring, but he was always, like you said, quiet, and it made him stand out even more.
Oh, for sure. So Caius just asked me to ask you about our grandma.
Guys loves to do this thing with me where he just insists that we've been related for years. Like, our grandma, our nana, she raised us and this. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you got to have the abuela.
It does, but honestly, there are times where I'm like, it does feel like we grew up with each other because we have the same sense of humor. That there have been times where, like, when we did this, that there have been times where I was just nodding, like, yeah, yeah, and I'm like, no, wait, no, that didn't happen.
Got you. So, and this can be past or present. Who would be a dream opponent? Who would ChaseNebular love to have the opportunity to share a ring with?
uh, Four come to mind.
Okay.
Which would be my all-time favorite wrestler, which is always Rey Mysterio. I would love to share a ring with him just because it would be such an honor. Even if it's just me getting my ass beat for 30 minutes, it'd be such an honor to step in there with him. But past-wise, it would always be Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero, I always studied so much. I used to do a move. My finishing move used to be a springboard off the corner into a tornado DT, and that's just because I watched the match with, I think it was Eddie versus The Rock on Raw, where he pulled it out, and he didn't use it as a finisher or anything. But I was like, that's such a good move, like, and I would have loved, especially with him doing the cheating gimmick, like that would be so much fun. And then modern day would always be I've always said that Chad Gable has been such an underrated wrestler. I think that man could be he should be main eventing in my opinion. So Chad Gable and also Kobe Kingston would be two that I would love to also one day sit me in the ring.
Nice, nice. So, what is your favorite move? What is something you just really enjoy doing? And on the flip side of that, is there a move that scares you or a move that you won't do or you would at least rather not do? And that can be giving or receiving.
So the move that I always love doing is the suicide dive. It's because it's such a simple move, and the crowd always loves to see it because you're diving out of the ring, and I've always felt super safe. But not only that, I feel like when I do that with people, especially wrestlers that I'm meeting for the first time, and I hit that move and it's done successfully, it builds like such a different level of trust. Like, I just threw myself out here. You could have moved if you wanted to. And those who don't, like, perfectly, I can trust you. I can trust you in the ring anytime now. But moves that I wouldn't take, I've always been proud of the fact that I was open to taking any move. I've never been afraid of taking anything. If it's something crazy, I always said, like, just let's try it out, see how it goes. And I've never been really scared. That's not until I met Jaden Black and I found two moves that I never want to take again, which were his chops. His chops hurt so much that I thought about them for like 2 afterwards, and they're led for 2 weeks. And he does I don't know what the official name is, but he does where he grabs the legs and Cesaro spin. That I will never take again. Which is funny because I like to do
like a giant swing type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I like to do the airplane spin, and I like doing that, but everyone hates it, and I never understood it. Then Jaden Black gave me that one. I get it. I never want to take that again. That was terrible. And I've since that match, I've only taken it twice, but every time they plan it, I'm like, okay.
Absolutely. So, you've been doing this long enough that I'm sure this applies to one degree or another. So I'll ask you, what hurts right now?
It's funny. I've always felt like I've been somewhat lucky that because talking with other wrestlers, they're always like, my back hurts, my knees hurt, this and this. But I've never really had anything long lasting. Currently, what I hate is that I get hurt, but I can never explain how I got hurt. Like currently, my thumb hurts. Like it hurts to move it, but it hurts to move from a leg drop, and I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Yeah, I'll tell you this much. I'm in my 50s, and the 50s are a weird time, man. Your body starts doing weird stuff. Like I've thrown my back out sneezing. So you've got a lot to look forward to. I mean, the 50s are a lot of fun. So, what is the worst bump you have taken thus far in your wrestling career?
I think the worst one, and I think me and Bobby Light actually had this conversation not too long ago. There was very early on in my career, and this might get a bit, TMI for people, but very early in my career, I was in like a Royal Rumble, and they threw me out, and I never liked people who kind of like sit on the outside of it and then just kind of hop off. I think like if you're in a battle royal, you're trying to get out, so you need to eat it when you get out, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. Except the part that I was taken out of, that side of the ring did not have anything. It was just a metal bar. And
Mm.
so all my weight landed on my right leg, and I was like, that hurt. And then where I turned around and fell on the ground, I landed on the exact same spot. And months later, it turned that one spot started hurting a lot, and I was ignoring it for the longest time. But it got to the point where I did a match, and when I finished my match, I had to run to the back and just lay down because it hurt. It turns out I had gotten an internal bruise that kind of turned into like a bed sore, sort of like right under my butt cheek, where it turned into like, yeah, the best way to describe it is bed sore, and it kind of like decayed and it got infected, and
Ooh.
it was bad. Yeah, it was really bad. They had to put a needle like this big to be able to clean it out. Like,
Drain
so
it.
that would
Yeah.
definitely have to be the worst one. Yeah.
Whew. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So Caitlin.cx just showed up in Instagram, and she says she's your biggest fan.
Yeah, she's definitely up there.
So, what is your take on the role that social media is playing as a promotional tool in wrestling, specifically indie wrestling?
Oh no, it's taken such an interesting turn because I remember when I first started, it was everyone just posting like some clips of their match and then or just one big move that they did, and it's still sort of that, but now it's gotten to the point where like we have influencers who are just like, this is day one of wrestling training. Watch me as I do this. I'm like, well, it's weird. I mean, it works, it promotes them really well and it gets them more looked at. But I've never. I mean, you can go to my Instagram, which is the only social media page I have, and you don't see me really post much, and I really should change that. But I've never been a big fan of it, but I can definitely see like all the benefits, and I definitely have seen the benefits it's helping with people. But I think it's very double-edged sword.
Gotcha. So, do you have any pre-show traditions, any things that you try to do consistently before you walk through the curtain?
Yeah, actually, this one comes with a bit of a story. Is that one time hanging out with Jonathan Life? I can't remember. I think we were going to a party, but he was hyping himself up by playing music, and I can't remember what song it was. But he was like throwing his arm around, touching the ceiling of my car, and just getting excited. And then at one point, he just grabs my shoulders and yells straight in the eyes, yells, "Tonight we fuck!" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean by that? What do you mean?" And he was just super excited, and that made me laugh so hard that now every time before a match, if I know the crowd can't hear me, I'll look at Jaden or I'll look at someone else. I'll just go, "Tonight we fuck," and then we go out.
Love it, love it, love it. Caius just commented, we go to the Brazilian steakhouse.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And Jaden just says we get gas station food.
He gets gas station food.
One thing you don't ever want to get is gas station sushi.
It's weird. It's weird you say that. My sister used to work for a gas station, and she was like, "It's not bad." And I got it once, instant food poisoning, never again.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't trust sushi as a rule, let alone gas station sushi.
No. I trusted it once, never again.
So, just kind of a quick rundown. Tell us about your gear bag. What do you carry in your gear, and do you carry anything unique or unusual?
It's funny you say that. I didn't think it was unusual, but I popped it out a few times. They're like, "That's interesting," which I have it right here. Is this glasses case that holds a lot of my extra glasses in case I lose or break mine. And because when I first started, I'm a big fan of Elton John as well, and I've always loved the crazy glasses he did. So I started doing that as well. And the more I bought, the more I had. So I got this case to carry it around.
Nice, nice. Do you do you have any of the glasses with the windshield wipers?
No, no, but I've been looking.
So, over the time that you've been doing this, do you have a favorite venue to wrestle in? Or are they all kind of the same to you? Or do you have one that's kind of special?
You know, I've always said it didn't matter to me. Like, I'm rain or shine, I'm gonna wrestle. But I've definitely learned to favor the indoors a lot more than I have outside. Because in Laredo, it's always hot, and we would take venues where they were either warehouses or small places, but it was always hot. So anytime we've had places where it's indoors, or at least there's a big fan or just something, I remember and pray like this is good. But not one specific spot I have favored.
Gotcha. Well, something that we've done in all of these that's just been kind of fun is we've let the current guest pose a question for the next guest.
All right.
And one of my recent guests is actually a compatriot of yours out there on the Texas scene, Darren Hale. And,
Oh yeah, that was
yeah, yeah. And the question that he posed is, would you wrestle a bear?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I
You
mean, how
would?
many opportunities do you have to do it? Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was, he brought that up and was mentioning, that back, I guess when he was back home in Dagestan, Khabib Nurmagomedov, the retired UFC fighter, wrestled a
Yeah.
bear a couple of times, and he lived. So, it's,
Well, that's my thing. I don't think my chances are high, but I'd like to do it.
I mean, if you survive it, it's a story that nobody's ever going to be able to take away from you.
Yeah, and if I don't survive, it's still quite a story, He tried to wrestle a bear.
Yeah, very true, very true. So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to ask the next guest?
Yeah, I've always wondered, being from outer space, if anyone have their own like conspiracy theory, their own, like, not one famous one. I mean, if they do, sure, but their own that they've made up.
Oh, I like it. How would you answer that? Do you have your own conspiracy theory?
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, I do.
I love conspiracy theories.
This one's my own. I have no proof, but I believe it so strongly, which is that Bob Ross, right?
Yeah.
I think he's secretly an asshole. I think he's secretly a terrible person because years ago, me and an ex of mine did one of the paintings, and I was doing it, and I was like, I was struggling. I was like, we need to pause. No, play, pause, play, and I was like, I couldn't do it, and at one point I started thinking like, back then you couldn't pause. We are privileged at the moment that we can. And then at one point I'm like, I screwed up. Like, I need to fix it. And right as I was going to pause it, he turns and looks in the camera and is like, it's okay if you messed up. Happy little accident. And he had the Cheshire grin that I know he knows I messed up. He knows that I messed up my painting, and he's smiling. Because then we kept doing it. And every time I would fuck up, he would turn around and be like, it's okay. And I'm like, he knows, and he's laughing. I have a feeling he knew. Like, I can feel it.
Bob Ross knows all.
He does, and he enjoys when we mess up. I just know it. I can't prove it, but I know it.
Yeah, yeah. And Caius actually says that grandma is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I guess it's. Have any of your own? Any conspiracy theory you believe in, like 100%?
Well, Jaden Black says that you can't paint.
I can't, and Bob Rock was no help. Like, he knew I was messing up.
So, during his retirement tour, John Cena kept bringing up the concept of leaving wrestling better than he found it, and I actually think that is actually a really cool concept and definitely something to strive for. So, I mean, your career in wrestling is still comparatively pretty young, But someday when you leave the sport of wrestling, at least as an active in-ring participant behind, how do you hope to leave wrestling better than you found it?
I'd like, I'd like to leave it as a safer place, and to also get people the idea that like you can do what you want. You just have to figure out what it is that you want, And I've always tried to do that. There were some people who told me that they respected the fact that I'm not afraid to go out there and do like these dumb things. And I've always said like, well, it's because I do these dumb things because I want to do them. And I'm hoping that when like the moment I leave wrestling, at least there'll be one or two people that will say like, wrestling with Chase was fun, that there was a good memory and that they always felt like they could be themselves on there. That's what the type of legacy I'd like to leave behind.
Gotcha. And Caius just commented, we created community for this reason. So
Exactly.
and man, I completely love what Caius is doing, man. Talk about somebody that loves the business and really wants the best for the business. That's Caius. I mean,
Yeah,
he is an incredible man.
Yeah, he has told me stories where about things that like where that he has gone through and the things that have happened, and to see him and hear those stories, but then and see him actively work so hard to make sure that no one has to go through anything even a quarter of that is so admirable, and I respect him so much for it.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So we're getting toward the end of things now. So do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
As of right now, the only one I can remember that we have checked my calendar is this Saturday. I am wrestling in Pochi, Texas for Elite Breakout Wrestling, going against Chasing Greatness versus STK, and I'm very excited. Anytime I'm in the ring with those three, like it is a fun time.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. I love STK, man. Those guys I was blessed to have both of them on the show previously, man. And those guys, I can't say enough good about them.
Oh, they're beautiful people inside and outside the ring. I love talking with them, and I've considered them some of my closest friends in the world.
Absolutely. So as far as what we've got coming up on the Throwdown, there we go. This Wednesday, April the 1st, I can't believe we're actually almost in April already. This year is just flying.
Oh my God.
But so this Wednesday, April 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern, which is actually 4 p.m. in the Pacific, I've got episode 212, and our guest is a wrestler based in Northern California, up in the Stockton area, Big Pusha, Elliot Ray. And then next Monday, April 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 6 p.m. Central Time, episode 213. Another of your compatriots out there in the great state of Texas, Primal, Kyrie Adams. Definitely looking forward to those two. And actually, as things stand right now, I am actually booked now through the month of April and most of May, actually. So I'm booked about 7 weeks out at this point.
Oh my God, you got months ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. April, April is a 30-day month, and I've got 11 episodes. In some ways, it's I love doing these, but I mean, in some ways, I'm like, did I overbook myself? But it's all good, man. It's all good. Love every minute of it. And so before we wrap all of this up, do you have any final words?
No, just those who are going out there and trying their best, and those are the most and peace and love.
Absolutely. And for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. If you like what we've got going here, definitely do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until Wednesday night, with Big Pusha, Elliot Ray, be good to each other, love each other, and let's keep throwing down.
Goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang.
Thanks for listening to episode 211 of The Throwdown. Chase and I had a blast together, and I especially enjoyed hearing about the origins of the ChaseNebular persona and making the comparisons with the 70s show Mork and Mindy. As for what's coming, tomorrow, Wednesday, April 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 4 p.m. Pacific Time, we will be live with episode 212 with Northern California-based wrestler Big Pusha Elliot Ray. Next Monday, April 6th, 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. Central Time, we will be live with episode 213 with Texas-based wrestler Primal Kyrie Adams. Be sure to make plans to join us live on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch and interact. If you can't make it live, the videos will be available on those platforms and the podcast will be available within a few days afterward. As always, if you like what we have going here, spread the word, follow me on my socials, leave comments, and maybe even drop us a review. Any or all of that will help us to continue to grow. Have a great rest of the week and keep throwing down.